Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Bhagyashree Tech, and today I'm going to share the Biceps ARM template, and we learn about how you can deploy your application or app or anything in the Azure using the Biceps. Like you already know, we have a JSON format, which is we are using the ARM template to provide all the resource configurations what we want to deploy over there. Similarly, we have a biceps also. In the biceps, we also have to do the same thing, but the difference is over there. I will say some key point I will be discuss here. What is the difference between the JSON and bicep? When we have to choose the bicep file, when we have to choose the JSON format for deploying side your application in the ARM template format. So first of all, we have to be know like what is the bicep. As a name suggests, you see, biceps means proper like tight coupling things which we have to be like proper muscle size. So similarly biceps in the coding in the deployment side also we have to like proper with a less amount of time we have to be deploy our application. So similarly bicep I will say it's a domain specific language that uses declarative syntax to deploy the Azure resources. And in bicep file you can define the infra you want to deploy in Azure and then use the file throughout the development lifecycle to repeatedly deploy your infra, so your resources are deployed in a consistent manner. And I will say it Bicep provide a concise syntax, reliable type safety, and support for the code reuse. And more importantly, I will say we already doing the like deployment using the JSON format. When we you have to use the Bicep, then what is the advantage rather than JSON? So I will say support for all the resource type and API version. Bicep provides this facility. Simple syntax. Main I will choose and I already working on this because of the simplicity of this file compared to JSON format. You see, I have to be write some code, some deployment side of configuration. In the JSON, I have written like 50 line of code, but in the Bicep file, I written only 10 line or 5 line of code. So you see the difference over there in the configuration line management. I will say bare minimum, and that's why. And second, I will say understanding configuration file in the Bicep. It is easy to understand compared to JSON one. And third, I will say authorizing experience. When you use the Bicep extension in the VS Code to create your Bicep file, you get a first class authoring experience. And it will provide also like type safety, intelligence, and syntax validation. When I'm using the VS Code, you see I already created one sample code here to deploy my Azure storage and in the VNet configurations. And more importantly, like I have to repeatably result, so you can redeploy your infra. So in the repeatable result, I will say we can deploy infra throughout the development lifecycle and confidence your resource are deployed in a consistent manner. So bicep file are idempotent, I will say, which means you can deploy the same file many times and get the same resource type in the same state. So you can develop one file that represent the desired state rather than developing lots of separate file to represent the updates. For example, you have like API version you are V1 API you are deployed. Again, you are just additional feature you develop over there, and again you have to be deployed. So you don't have to be set up again initial file for the API version to deployment side. You can use the same file for the API version to deployment side. And third, I will say orchestration. So you don't have to be worried about the complexity of the ordering operation. Resource manager orchestrate the deployment of interdependent resources so that they create in the correct order. When possible, resource manager deploy resource in parallel so your deployment finish later and then serial deployment. You deploy the file throughout the command rather than through the multiple imperative command. So this is the main advantage of the Bicep file. That's why I am recommending if you want to deploy your solution in your Azure side cloud provider, you definitely have to use the Bicep file. So prerequisite, I will say you have to first install the VS Code, and then you have to install the Bicep extension. And then I will say you already have Azure subscription, so use that. Log in your Azure portal and go in your Azure subscription. You can see what we are deploying over there in the resource. You can see what we deployed. Okay, so let's start with that. So this is the code, one of the like I have a sample file I created for deploying my solution to the Azure. This is the my configuration file in the Bicep. See, we have this storage account name and resource where we want to deploy. I have to deploy my virtual network. That name I mention here example net, and in that I mention my subnet property name and all the stuff. Second, I have to be deploy my storage. So I mention here storage name. This is the like I can mention my Bhagyashree or any want any name you want, you can mention here. And the location where you want to deploy, you can see this will be a location name and you can deploy over there. So this is the code, I will say, which we have to be right. Okay, so this is my file. Now I have to deploy. So come here, there is an option coming deploy the bicep file. Click on this option, mention your name you want to deploy. Now see, I have to be deploy. So first I have to be login. After login, you selected your in your Go in the Azure portal. So after login, you have to be just create your resource group name. So type this command, you will get your location name with the resource group name creation. After this, after location creation, you have to just create your storage account name with your unique name. Okay, so put here, and I can mention Bhagya name, Bhagyashree, put name. Okay, after this, all the stuff will be created. Now you have to be logged in your Azure portal and go into the resource group what you created. The resource group we are created is example RG. As you see, I mentioned the command what I used here. I will mention here. 1 second. Paste. Okay, so this is the command what I use here. Okay, so this will be a command which I used. And before using this command, you have to be logged in with the Azure login. Now we have to be look into our portal, the resource what we have created, and the storage account name that is deployed or not. See what I deployed here. I came here my in the login subscription what I have I used, and coming to my resource group I created my example resource group. So you see I came here and what I deployed you can see location, storage name, and vnet. Okay, so similarly you have to be create other things also, and you can deploy using the bicep file. Hope you got the idea about this bicep file, how we can deploy and how can log in. So I think that will be a valuable information for you all. And more complex problem you want to develop and deploy, get assistance, please comment it down. I will be happy to help over there. Meet you in the next video. Till then, bye. Happy coding, happy learning.